Few people know that in 1947, the Americans carried out Operation Sandy. This is the launch of V-2 rockets from the American aircraft carrier Midway. The fact is that, after the end of the war in Europe, a large number of V-2 rocket sets were delivered to the United States, where the American rocket program was in full swing, including work on the creation of ballistic missiles. Soon the Americans began training launches of captured V-2. The first launch was from the test site in April 1947, and in just a year and a half, about 30 launches were carried out. Finally, the military minds faced the question of the possibility of launching this rocket from an aircraft carrier. After preliminary meetings between naval officials and personnel, artillery support White Sense, as well as German rocket scientists Admiral Chester, the German came to the conclusion that the launch of the V-2 rocket from the flight deck of an aircraft carrier was possible. On May 22, 1947, Operation Sandy was launched, and the carrier was approved to conduct a test launch of the V-2. Rear Admiral Daniel Gallery, Assistant Chief of Naval Operations for Guided Missiles, was in charge of the project. The primary goal of Operation Sandy was to find some answers to the problem of launching a large missile from a ship at sea, Gallery said. The lessons learned from the operation would be applied to the development of future guided missiles for use at sea, and to the design of a new type of warship, a guided missile carrier that might eventually prove as important to the Navy as the modern aircraft carrier. Within weeks, a select group of officers and enlisted men from Midway were out to sea. To prepare intensively for the V-2 launch, the Army Ordnance Department was tasked with providing 2 actual missiles for the test launch and a mock-up V-2. To continue training on the ship, a launch date was set for Midway on September 6, 1947. By August, the training of the Midway crew was completed, and preparations began to send the missile and support equipment to the East Coast. On September 2, with all the necessary equipment on board and all preparations completed, the aircraft carrier, along with 4 Navy destroyers, put to sea and headed for the launch site, located approximately 250 miles south of Bermuda. On September 6, the missile was launched. However, 2 seconds after launch, the V-2 unexpectedly tilted to starboard at 45, continuing to take off in the direction of the Midway Command Bridge. According to eyewitnesses, the missile flew about 100 meters from the bridge and caused great panic among the onlookers. A few seconds later, the V-2 returned to an upright position and continued its flight. However, soon after this, the flight profile of the missile became unstable. It went out of control and broke apart at an altitude of about 3 kilometers. The rocket broke into 3 main sections and fell into the ocean. And although the V-2 did not reach the desired trajectory, it accomplished the main objectives of the test, and ultimately Operation Sandy was considered a success. This experiment became a new era of naval weapons. They wrote about the results of the operation. Operation Sandy demonstrated the possibility of launching the war-tested German V-2 rocket from a modern aircraft carrier. Without compromising the primary purpose of this vessel, the rocket was successfully launched for the first time from a ship at sea. This was the initial stage of an extensive program leading to the adaptation of naval vessels. Please like and subscribe. There will be many interesting videos ahead.